Hello everyone, my name is Brian and welcome back to another Assassin Apocalypse. This time around we are going to take a look at Awilix, a fun assassin but also a very powerful assassin. I like to play her sometimes. It's not a god I pick up a lot, but when I play her I really enjoy it. It also has to do a bit with what you're up against. If the enemy team has a composition, depending on a few factors, it may be more difficult or easy to play Awilix. I will get back to that later, but it has something to do with her ultimate. So let's start off with her basic attacks actually. She has an attack progression. Her first attack will deal just a regular damage. The second ability will deal 25% less. And the third basic attack will deal 20% more than the first attack. So it's a nice chain, so your third attack will deal more damage, while the second being a bit less. Can be useful, depending, if you're going any crits, then you want to have your crit on your third. You have no saying in this, but would be nice. So to continue with her passive, if she attacks first while she is out of combat, she will gain an increased physical power. She will gain 30% additional physical power, which is pretty decent for 2.5 seconds. So she will deal more damage if she starts the fight. She's actually a god that likes to pick fights because she gets more power out of it. When she gets attacked first, then you don't get that power online. So that can be very helpful to attack first on Awilix. I call her Awilix sometimes, that's my bad habit. Don't be mad about it. So, her first ability is called Summon Suku. She will summon her pet Suku. This panther, she will ride this panther, and she will have increased movement speed. She will have a 25% movement speed increase, which is very nice. She will have a reduced strafing, so she has a 50% strafe penalty, means she'll move slower from when she goes left and right. So you always want to try and use just your W and your S key, probably mostly your W key when you are on Suku, and just move around with your mouse to direct her. That way you're a lot faster. You can jump when you are on Suku. You will deal damage in the target location. Deals a decent amount of damage. You can get closer to your enemy with it. You can also just cancel it by cancelling like your regular ability, and then you will go off of Suku. It's not on cooldown, so that can be very helpful to just go off. You still have your escape up, but it will cost mana every time you go on her, so you do want to be careful when you use it. You don't want to use it every single time. So let's continue with her second ability, probably her most important ability and definitely the one you need to level up first. As you can see, I can't use it all the time. You can see there is a red cross on it, so you need to be careful. You can't always use it. When you use an ability or a basic attack on someone, minion or guard, then you will be able to use your second ability, and the second ability will flip over your enemy or the minion, whatever. You will flip over them, dealing damage. It has an additional effect when you did 2 auto attacks before you do the flip, as you probably can see here. I do 2 auto attacks, and then you see it deals damage in a radius around it, so that can be very helpful to clear the creeps, dealing more damage. And it's also the most damage dealing part of her 2, because it has a little progression. If you do an ability or anything, then you will deal just a regular damage on your 2. If you did 2 auto attacks, you will actually deal twice the damage of your 2. And if you did 3 auto attacks, you will actually deal if you deal 3 auto attacks, you will just do regular. And if you do 1 auto attack, you will deal 1.5 the regular damage. And after an ability, just the basic damage. So it's pretty interesting. It has some good uses. And one very important part of it is when you are flipping over someone, you are immune to damage or being targeted by other abilities. Only Nua ultimate can really hit you, or Neath ultimate when it's still going for you. Those are the abilities that can hit you. And perhaps also the Chiron too. can also still hit you. Those are the only abilities. You can avoid Kraken or Kolken ultimate entirely with your second ability if you time it correctly. Once you are in the air flipping, you will have no damage that is underneath you. So that can be very powerful. Very powerful indeed. And it can deal a huge amount of damage, especially if you go with a lot of power items. Awilix is definitely a god that needs a lot of power for her abilities because she's more ability based than auto attack based. So let's continue with the third ability. I will throw out Suku, dealing damage to anything in his path and knocking up enemies that are hit at the side or at the back of them. Which means that if they are hit at the side, at the back, they will be knocked up. You can get closer to them, but it also has to do with her ultimate. I will get to that a bit later, but it passes through anything, so you can clear a creep wave with it quite easily when your 2 is down. Definitely very useful. It has a good amount of range, and as you can see, I use it with my ultimate. So you've seen my ultimate in use now. I will explain to you what it does. When someone is knocked up, there will be a marking on them if your ultimate is up. When you press your ultimate at that time, you will pull them towards you. When they land at your location, it will deal damage to them actually. Good amount of damage, and activating your ult will grant Awilix a buff. This buff will give additional physical power and additional attack speed. The physical power scales from 20 to 60 physical power, and the attack speed scales from 30% to 70% attack speed. So when you're level 20, you will gain a huge amount of power, a huge amount of attack speed when you use that ultimate. And the thing that you need to note is you don't have to use your ultimate when someone is knocked up. You can use it at any time to grant you that buff. While the buff is activated, it will last for 6 seconds. It will grant you slow immunity. It will grant you root and knock-up immunity. So very powerful ability. Very powerful indeed. Definitely a good thing. However, it's anyone that can be knocked up, but it's also when someone is using a leap. So if you are against enemies, like I was saying, if you have luck against what team you are, this time I'm against the Hades and OE, both have a leap. I can use my ultimate when they use their leaps. So you always want to try and look for that when they use it. A few other leaps that are very easy to pull are, for instance, Neath, backflip, honor leap, or Odin's leap, just because they are a bit slower. You can also, as you saw that, a tail whip from Sobek, you can also pull from that. It's a small knock-up, so you can use your pull on it. Definitely a lot of uses, and as you can see, I used it. I hit him with the Suku with my 3, knocked him up, used my ultimate, pulled him towards me, dealt a great amount of damage to him, finished him off. So it has a lot of usage for it. 6-second immunity to slow, additional attack speed, additional power, immunity to roots, immunity to knock up and knock backs. It's just a lot in one ability. Definitely very powerful. Can be used on a lot of abilities and a lot of things. Sobek Pluck will also grant the knock-up interaction, as well as the Sobek Tail Whip. Habua's Water Sprout will do it as well. So there are a lot of abilities that can help you get that ultimate pull, because sometimes you don't get the right opportunity to hit someone with your 3 when from the side or from the back. So that's definitely something that can be helpful if someone picks that up for you. Vulcan, also a very powerful god to pick up with Awilix. That meatball not too hard to hit, and it can guarantee a pluck from the ultimate. So I haven't really talked about her ult too much, about her ult enough. I haven't talked about what I built on her. So let's start off with that. I started off with power boots. It's definitely something you need to get on Awilix. If you're in Conquest and you're jungling, of course the Booma's mask is more important. But after that, go for those boots. Boots are very powerful. And as you can see, Hades Leap comes out, pull him towards me, finish him off. almost instantly with that additional damage. And again, the knock-up providing a lot of peel to my teammates, and also just allows me to deal more damage towards my enemies, because you have the time they are in the air to get close to them, do 2 auto attacks, use your 2, deal the huge amount of damage you have, just bursting them very quickly. My second item is Jotuns, definitely very powerful, a lot of power, some pen, and also cooldown reduction, which he relies on a lot, especially because our 2 is our main clear, as well as our main damage source, and her ultimate being very powerful as well. Beautiful Hades ultimate. I figured we could burst him down, was not the case, but luckily enough Awilix was able to pick him up, but I didn't do too much of damage. I think Hades has a good amount of defense at this point, and also when he's in his ultimate he gets additional defenses, so that's a bit difficult to kill sometimes. I went for the Transcendence as third item, just for the fact that I had some mana issues. It really resolves it, and it grants you a lot of power, definitely very good on Awilix. The stacks are not too important, but definitely something that can be useful. I didn't elect to go for the ult on the Hades. Hades is quite tanky, so I don't want to invest too much into him. Might have been able to do it, but since I don't have too much pen, I definitely don't think it's the best choice. And you always want to try and kind of flank the enemies with your 3. You will have a good shot at knocking them up. It's definitely possible that if someone hears the Suku, that they will turn around quickly. Especially at the pro scene, you will see someone do a 180 spin quickly to avoid getting knocked up, and just continue walking afterwards. You don't have too much of time. The Suku travels quite fast. Wasn't on the release that way, but they increased the speed a bit, so it was actually able to hit a bit easier because it was too hard when she came out. So I went for an RC, a fourth item actually. A bit of life steal will help me out. RC proc can help me sustain through a lot of damage. As you can see, I tried to kill the Hades. His leap is up, so he's able to get away with just a slither of health. But I don't die for it, so it's not too bad. Fortunately enough, Awilix is picked up. It's a bit unfortunate, but that's alright. I've been able to keep myself safe the entire game, so that's just great. Especially with some help from my teammate. And a beautiful knock-up and a water sprout from the Habois, securing the Loki instantly, who was ulting our Chiron. Nice peel. Fortunately enough, the new ultimate picked up the Chiron before he was able to get into the base. Bit unfortunate in that case, but still, we were able to pick up Loki. But the RC also provides a bit of additional penetration and attack speed, which is very powerful. Especially if you don't have your ult up, your attack speed is a bit lackluster without an RC. You can also go for instance, an Executioner if you're against very tanky targets. Just because you can deal some stacks on them, reduce their defenses, use your abilities, can be very helpful. Awilix can use as well the attack speed buff as the power buff. Attack speeds allow us to do a bit more damage. Also a good combination of abilities you could use. When you knock up someone with your 3, you can do 2 auto attacks before they are close to landing, then use your ultimate. That way you maximize the amount of airtime they have, allowing you to deal most damage. After that you can do another 2 auto attacks using your 2, preventing any leap from coming out. A very strong combination indeed. So if you are able to do that way, then it's definitely very powerful. You saw there, I didn't even need to face my target to use my 2. As long as he's in a close enough range, I can still use it to flip over him. There's also a little range on it. I'm not entirely sure how long it is, but it's there. One little note I want to make on her ultimate though. It is able to, you can be CC'd out of your ultimate. If you have seen my Smithbusters video, it is able, you are able to CC someone, well, to CC the Awilix to prevent the pool coming out and the pool damage from an ultimate, even though someone was knocked up. So that's definitely something unfortunate. I should have used my 2 here. I wasn't able to do it in time. I went for the 3. I should have gone for the 2 that guaranteed the Loki kill, but I used my 3, missed it. Lost track of him. He was able to get away. But no harm, no foul, I guess. Nobody died in return. Loki ultimate coming out, dealing a huge amount of damage. Using my Suku to reset my attack chain, because the 3rd attack comes out a little bit later. And after that, being able to do 2 attacks again, flipping over him. I was a little bit more fat. I was level 20 already, and the Loki was not. So he wasn't able to burst me down in the time I was able to burst him down, also providing that additional healing I really needed at that point. Nice Sobek block. Unfortunately enough, it was beat by the Hades, I think, because I didn't see him flying. Otherwise I might have been able to capitalize on it. But as you can see, a huge amount of damage. I started the fight, my passive procced, I did 2 auto attacks. The landing damage from Suku also dealing a good amount of damage, and my 2 dealing a huge amount of damage. And he jumped is using his Aegis, but with my attack speed and my auto attacks, I will just deal a lot more damage. Also, again, an important thing I forgot to mention: Awilix auto attacks have a little bit of extended range. It's like, for instance, the Scourge from Bellona, her 3. When she attacks with that, she also has an increased attack speed range. Awilix has that as well, but all the time. So that can be very powerful to box someone that is also close range. You can just be a little bit further away from them, so they won't be able to hit you, but you are able to hit them. And as you can see, I can see the damage numbers, and I'm able to pick up Loki while he's stealthed. That's something you can look out for. If you see those damage numbers, they will move a bit, so they will give you a general direction they are moving in. So definitely very powerful. Hades elected to go. Beautiful Aegis. Ah, that is unfortunate. The Noir ultimate came out just a little bit later. I was able to prevent getting killed by the Kukulkan ultimate, but in the end, the Noir ultimate finished me off again. Not again actually, but she was able to pick me up. My 5th item is the Titan's Bane. This allows me to deal more damage to everyone, especially the Hades, because I do want to kill him when I get the opportunity. And with that additional penetration, I definitely can do that. And as you can see, a lot of damage. 725 with my flip, with my 2nd ability. Just a huge amount of damage. It was with the passive proc, but still. As you can see, also you will pull the one that is closest. I knocked up 2 at the same time. The one that's closest will be the one that gets pulled towards you when you ult. You will see the marking on them when you use it, as you probably noticed. My last item is that stone cutting sword. Additional attack speed, a lot of power, increasing your physical defenses while decreasing your enemies. Very powerful on her, allows her to rotate faster. A few items I haven't covered that are also very good on Awilix are, for instance, breastplate, allowing her to get the full cooldown reduction to 40%, as well as maybe a bulwark of hope if you are threatened by the magicals a lot. Then that additional defense can help you out. This game I didn't need it. I was able to burst enemies down quickly and was able to keep myself safe with the help of my team, my beads, my Aegis, as well as Suku. And as you can see, a lot of damage. Aokwang actually did more damage than I did. He did die a few more times than I did. He died 12 times in total, but still, he did an awful lot of damage. I did a good amount of damage as well while keeping myself safe, so that really worked out in our favor. A lot of damage coming out. I hope you guys learned something about Awilix. She has a very interesting kit, a few things that you could really use to your advantage. Her 2 flip can avoid a lot of damage. Her ultimate can pull someone. You can beat it, so that's something you have to take in consideration. If they have beats up, they can just beat it while they are being pulled. Also, midway the pull, they can still beat it and they will fall down at that specific location. So that has some interesting features with it. And like I said, if you haven't seen my Smithbuster videos, definitely check it out. There is a way to stop Awilix ultimate with a crowd control. Very difficult to time. In practice, it's probably almost impossible to go for it, just to do it. But it is possible to get it. It happened to me one time. I got saved by my teammate. He stunned an Awilix and was able to save me that way. I hope you guys learned something. I hope you guys enjoyed. And as always, good luck, have fun, and I'll see you guys in the next one.